It's time to let go. Well, technically I already let go because I already went through this process. I was planning on recording this video and the next one before this, but because I spent the last 5 days at my sister's place and just got back yesterday, I kind of ran out of time. So I'm recording this after the fact, but I'm going to present it as if it was happening before because that was how I was intending on doing it to begin with. So it all really began a while ago, maybe a couple weeks, coming on the month almost. And, you know, it was a bunch of different things. It was, you know, me surrendering that thing with my, former friend from a long time ago. And realizing I need to break down all those internal barriers to be able to fully surrender. And part of that process was, you know, surrendering to God. And I feel like that was really the first step in what I'm about to discuss. But it's like, yeah, okay, I surrendered to God and that felt good, but it didn't feel like the whole thing. It felt like, okay, this is the first step in the process. What comes next? And I knew I had a couple weeks before the end of the year. And, you know, the start of the year is always a new time to kind of start anew, to transition from one phase to the next. So I'm like, all right, that gives me a couple weeks to figure out exactly what I'm going to do and how to do it. And I had some ideas here and there, but it wasn't really until an analogy occurred to me that it really kind of sunk in and made sense. So basically it's like I was on a boat, on a ship, middle of the ocean, and out of nowhere this storm comes and knocked me overboard, and I somehow managed to hold on to something, and I've been holding on ever since. But as time goes by, I'm just getting weaker and weaker, and it's only a matter of time before I have no strength to hold on. And, you know, obviously, you know, the ship is just like the journey, and the storm that knocked me off is the cancer, and me trying to hold on is exactly that, me trying to maintain control to hold on. And when I surrendered to God, I realized, okay, what I need to do is to let go of that thing I've been holding on to, desperately trying to survive, because at the end of the day, I don't have control over the outcome. I only get to control how I react to what happens and how, you know, what emotions come up as a result of that. So I realized, okay, I need to let go of that thing I've been holding on to and let the ocean take me, and just surrender to God, in the sense that it's up to God to decide. Well, I believe that, you know, my destiny is already set up. It was decided ever since I was born. So I don't think I need to change anything or convince God to change anything or anything like that. But, you know, God already decided what was meant to happen to me, and I need to let go, let the ocean take me, and then it's up to God to either save me or let me die. So there's basically two options, which is I just mentioned. But let me go into a little more detail. So option number one, I feel like no matter what happens, I am going to die somehow. Whether it's option one, where it's like more of an emotional death, this version of me is going to die, and I'm going to be reborn as a new version of me. That's option one. Option two is I die literally, as in I cease to exist. I don't know what happens after death. I'll discover it when I get there, whether it's in the near future or a long time from now. That's not really important. The point is, there are two possible outcomes. Either I survive or I don't. And in order to fully accept that second potential outcome, I need to accept death, which, you know, I've done a long time ago, faced death a couple times. The prospect of dying does not scare me. If anything, it's like, well, the suffering ends. I can be at peace now. I know it's going to be difficult on everyone around me, but, you know, I'm ready to accept whatever's meant to happen. However, I need to prepare myself for that. And in order to do that, I need to say my final farewells, because there is a possibility that I'm going to die literally and never get to see any of my loved ones again. So, since it happened, I had that, analogy pop into my head literally the night before I went to visit my sister. And the timing was just perfect. So it's like, oh, I'm going to go visit my sister. So I'm literally going to see my father, my sister, my brother-in-law, my uncle. I also chose to speak to my mother and, niece and nephew. So basically pretty much my entire family that I'm close to. And the other people that are close, to me in my life that are important to me, given the fact that it's the holidays and everything, I wouldn't have a chance to speak with them directly anyways. So I'm just going to go ahead and, communicate with them either through a, phone call or just send them a voice message, whatever it is. But it's like, I'm going to be able to reach out to everyone and just let them know, hey, there's a possibility that I could die. I am okay with whatever ends up happening. Please don't worry for me. Don't be sad if, if the worst happens. And I just want to say, I love you. I appreciate you for who you are. Thank you for being in my life. But I have to say goodbye now. So, when I was at my sister's, I went through that entire process. And I'll talk about it in more detail. I'll make a separate video after that. I'm kind of going chronologically. So this has been the plan. So it's like, all right, from the point where I realized this till the end of the year, so 2024, I'm going to be able to go through that process of saying farewell to all my loved ones. That way, when it comes time to let go, I won't have any regrets. I won't have any ties, anything holding me back. Any oh, well, it sucks that I'm going to die because I never got to say whatever it is to whoever it is, basically just have all my things, all my affairs be in order so I'm ready to let go. And then on New Year, I was planning on doing this at midnight. The thing is, because of everything I'm going through, especially the last few weeks, had way more breathing issues at night. So it's harder for me to sleep. And as a result of that, I'm just more exhausted. So it's like, I didn't expect to have the energy to stay up until midnight in order to do this at the exact moment where 2024 ends and 2025 begins. So, I ended up doing it earlier, but the time doesn't really matter. The point is, I was able to say all my farewells, and when the time was right, I was able to finally let go, both metaphorically from the analogy I spoke to, about the ship and everything, as well as, literally just let go and just be like, hey, I'm adrift now. Whatever's meant to happen will happen. It's up to God. There's nothing I can do about it. And I'm at peace with whatever happens. And yeah, it was an interesting thing to go through. As I mentioned, I'll talk about it in more detail in the next, not the next, but one of the next videos. And it was just, yeah, it felt like a significant shift. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. It's not like I'm suddenly going to stop everything. It's like, oh, I'm going to stop immunotherapy. I'm going to stop taking all the medication for the side effects and everything. It's like, I'm not going to just completely stop doing everything and be like, hey, it's up to God. It's like, no, I'm still going to do whatever feels right. But at the end of the day, it's like, I know that I don't control anything. And I've surrendered to that, and I'm okay with that, whatever the outcome ends up being. So that's really the process that I went through. And I just thought it was very important to share. I would have preferred to do that at the end of last year rather than at the beginning of this year, but because I was, spending that time with family and saying all my farewells, I didn't really have time to record a video. Plus, my sister has 2 cats and a dog, and I used to be allergic to cat hair and dog hair when I was young. Kind of went away with time, but I feel like now that I have more trouble breathing and everything I'm going through, it's kind of come back. Maybe never went away completely, but anyway. So when I spent that time with my sister, it was difficult breathing and everything. So yeah, I definitely was not up for a video. Even now, I'm still still kind of struggling to breathe. It's not as bad. It's usually worse during the night than during the day. But it's like, as I'm speaking now, I still feel it in my lungs. Like, there's, I don't know, kind of like this pressure, this inability to breathe fully. This sensation of, I can't breathe normally, and it's kind of like always there. So anyway, I wanted to share this, so thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. I will make a separate video, a separate farewell video. So that should come out tomorrow. And then the, explanation of what the experience of saying farewell to all my loved ones was like, and, how I went through that process of surrendering that on the night of the 31st to the 1st. So that's kind of going to be the next few videos. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. I missed the button.